In this third recording with Katsaros, which took place at the end of August 1991, I was joined for the session by the historian Thomas Bosque. Katsaros spoke at length on the glorification of war being done by the American media, along with more casual observations and background information which, all told, flesh out his Korean War experiences. After this recording, however, he asked that I delete it, for he felt he hadn't added anything to his account. Of course, I agreed to erase the recording, but at the last second, I hedged from doing so. While I always complied with everything he asked, I am happy to have disobeyed him on this critical issue.
Yeah, okay, listen to this. See if this makes sense to you. This is interesting for you to hear, too. Sometimes you can be somewhere and do everything so big, so death-defying, and not even know where you've been. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not knowing what your left was like, or your right was like, or the front of you was like, or the back of you. You just found yourself in hell. And you just shot at everything that moved. And then somebody said, let's go this way, and that's where you went. And other people jumped out, and you stabbed and raped and fucked and did. And then you ran. And you didn't know where you were at. So how can you put that much effort into life and not know where you've been? And not know who was there with you? Not know a fucking thing? So, when I went to college, I had access to, better libraries and what have you, and I started saying, I never wanted to think of Korea, man, And all of a sudden, I just read a book, and I said, wow, is this the place? Wow, it wasn't like that to me. I mean, I didn't know that guy was over there, and, that general was over there. I didn't know none of that. I didn't know where I had been at. So what I did is I got a hold of the atlas, to see where I had been. You want to see the atlas?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll get it for you. Here, hold this. See what a little hit on the pipe got you?
There you go.
The battle plans of the First World War.
You feel betrayed?
Yeah, I feel these guys came across, went out and dug some foxholes and sat out there in the Persian Gulf War, and because somebody wanted to make a whole line of horse shit, created these heroes out of a Cheerio box. These guys are no more. These weekend buzzards. None of them. I don't think there's a one that fired a clip of ammunition out there at anybody other than the sand dunes.
Or their own troops.
Yeah, or their own troops. Yeah. And what the hell happened to?
We should be coming out of this.
Why should you call yourself a man? You haven't.
Instead of a lot of.
No, why should you call yourself a man? You haven't fucking proven nothing to me. Where did you put your ass out on the line for some piece of bullshit like they told us if we didn't go out there and fight them commie bastards that they'd be there in the States fucking our women? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine a story like that being told to civilized people? I mean, can you imagine the quality of bullshit? And the quality of bullshit's even getting worse now. You know why it's getting worse? Because they're using the same methodology to pump the bull to you as they do to pump boxes of Cheerios, corn flakes, and every other damn thing they advertise. It's a piece of advertisement, and your brain just sucks it up because it just needs, you know why? It just needs an exhilaration. It needs we're pre-literate people now, man. We're pre-literate.
We've gone back.
Oh, yeah, we're back into images, pure images, and the trouble with pure images is, there's no activity between the images. Whatever activity is the activity that I tell you to have. I give you images that are disassociated really with each other. And in their disassociation, I just put something in between them and they associate immediately. The key slots, the key things. Like if I take a key thing out of a photograph, you can't recognize what it is, like the face. I can show you the body and not the face. And you say it's a body, I don't recognize it's a face. And you depend on somebody not looking like him to make sure that it is him, right? I mean, you have a whole society of fanatics that have been put together that you can literally sell them anything. And I'll tell you why. when I was a kid, a friend of mine told me, and I never realized that it was going to be the guiding light of my life. It really was the guiding light of my life, and it had to do with bullshit. He says, why can't we bullshit? He says, who in the hell knows if they're bullshitting? You know, all of a sudden, I realized, you know, like, that's what makes the world go round when there's communication. When there's communication, how on earth are you going to ever convey anything accurately? Accuracy isn't... Oh, yeah, you can't work with...
Yeah, I know.
They overpower it, man. You can't... Accuracy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you need accuracy, and how do you develop that accuracy? You have to make it all measurable. It has to be all measurable. And there are certain things that can't be measured, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
You can't measure certain things, and them certain things that you can't measure, we've gotten rid of. We don't want it anymore, and since we got rid of it, we've lost that intuitive ability to say, hey, wait a minute. Hey, wait a minute, like your grandfather was saying, hey, wait a minute. You know, these guys are Catholic. You know what I mean? I'm German. He's this. We're Catholic. I mean, some kind of realization. You understand?
Yeah.
Something that we can get in touch with. We don't have any, man. We don't have any. So they sell us anything we want to be sold. And right now they're selling these buffoons as heroes. I mean, isn't it the most disgusting thing that you've ever run across? Doesn't that make you sick? I mean, to be able to manufacture national heroes when they haven't done a goddamn thing? You know, these people...
Schwarzkopf, who bungled the Grenada thing, became the hero of...
He became hero of an army that never fought him. I wonder how he'd have been in Korea as a general. He hasn't, you know, like any fighter, he's only as good as the people he's fought. Who did he fight?
He tried to fight them Grenadians and he bumbled that one.
Oh, yeah, he bungled that up, yeah. Oh, because these are created people.
You know that they have, this will make you sick, I saw in a store the other day, sport, like cards. You know, like you buy baseball cards. You know, they have baseball cards. They had Persian Gulf cards.
What are they?
Like
Persian
baseball,
Gulf.
Persian Gulf cards. The heroes of the car, or the battleship, or the airplane.
Yeah, now the guys who fought in the other wars want the same kind of recognition. I want to be known as a hero. Why not? Why shouldn't I? I want to be known too, the same as they are. I want the same
to be a hero,
recognition.
you have to do something heroic. And heroic just doesn't mean bombing the hell out of the highway. That's not a heroic act. That might have won the war. That might be, the actions they've done might have won the war, but that doesn't mean that they were heroic acts.
That's right.
They were just simply acts that won the war.
I think any man that fights in the battle is a hero from the mere fact of being able to stand it. I'm serious, man. There's nothing more disgusting that you'll ever see in your fucking life other than a battlefield. It is absolutely impossible to believe. Pieces of people everywhere, man. Stiff arms, open jaws. Like, you see these people that die in the movies. That's not real. Dead people have their mouths wide open. Wide open, man. And especially in the heat, the fucking body swells up in minutes. And people big as fucking barrels, the landscape filled with them. You got to walk around them, and they're all over. You look at the ground, and there's nothing but dead people. Smell of fucking gunpowder and blood. You good shit, man. You take these son of a bitches and put them on a fucking battlefield, and they'd fucking see if they were heroes, the bastards. They'd be all taking psychiatric courses. You know what? Man can't afford to fight anymore because everybody's got stress syndrome. They left me off, man, on 7th and Market. On 7th and Market, and I was so fucking dizzy, I didn't know if I was up or down. I had been on the line for 8, 9, 10 months, and now I'm in San Francisco looking around. I went to the fucking VA. Jeez, my nerves started getting fucked up a few months after. I went to the fucking VA and I said, shit, I want to go to a doctor and get something for him. I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't do shit. I mean, I had gotten down to 140 pounds. Couldn't eat, man. Couldn't eat. Throwing up all the time. Like pains in my stomach. I always felt like I had the flu, you know, some cramps. So my stomach would bloat like this and then it would fucking go down. I couldn't sleep at night. Pains all over. What the fuck is it? So I went to the fucking VA, asked to go see a fucking doctor. He said, where's your symptoms? The social worker asked me. I said, I'm fucked up. I'm sick, man. I said, my belly goes like this. I said, and he thought I was being metaphorical or symbolic to him, or. And he asked me. He said, if I wanted to, he said, do you want to turn into? He said, we could get you down to Palo Alto, to the VA hospital in Palo Alto. That was the crazy house. I said, I'm not crazy, man. I just don't feel good physically, But what it was nerves, It was fucking nerves. My nerves were shot. It was shot, man. Totally fucking shot. There was no way to recoup them.
How did you recoup?
You never did. How you don't. You don't, man. You just don't. How can you recoup? You find yourself doing all kinds of things, and you find yourself not feeling things. That's the hard part, man. Like not feeling anything. Like you're with people and you don't feel them. You don't feel the person. How can I say? That's just like looking at a lot of people and all their insides are gone, all the context is gone, and all you see is just the outline. I was seeing feeling at the same moment. This kind of thing. It was a form that I was looking at, but I couldn't see the context. All right? Because in the point that I'm talking about, you feel and see at the same moment. You feel and see. Like looking at a woman that you've fallen in love with, you feel and see her at the same moment, right? Every gesture, everything. Well, I got to the point where and this became really, really disturbing. Not disturbing that after that, you just got depressed. It wasn't that I got disturbed mentally. After that, a set of depression would come in that would it felt like somebody put a black hood over your head. Just like everything now, instead of the context just being gone, even the form was now gone, right? And you actually felt like you were in the middle of the universe just all by yourself. Now that kind of feeling of aloneness is what's terrifying. The feeling of aloneness. Loneliness I can stand, but the feeling of aloneness is probably one of the worst feelings you can have. It doesn't mean what the poet and the avant-garde artist and the man who's speaking from his philosophical know-how talks about. I'm talking about aloneness, the same that you find on a battlefield after a battle is over with. You wonder, how come I am here? I mean, you look around you and guys that you knew are gone, and you can't understand why you're here. The thought of why am I here becomes so devastating because it's a why that says I shouldn't be here, but though I am here. To take a burst on that side, a burst over you, a burst on the side of you, a burst in front of you, and you're still here. I got bursted in front of me, and it must have thrown me 40, 50 feet. And when I landed, I was I couldn't move. I didn't know if I was to move. Could I move my legs? I didn't know because they told us, the sergeants told us, that if you get hurt, you won't feel anything. They said, you won't feel anything at all, man. So don't worry. You won't feel anything. They kept telling. So I got laid back there. And, man, I didn't know if I had legs that were gone, arms that were gone. I didn't know if I was ripped open. And I just lay there. I was too stunned and scared to move, man. And if somebody hadn't come and kicked me, they didn't know if I was dead or not. They just kicked me, and that fucking kick brought me back to life again. There was nothing wrong with me. There was nothing fucking wrong with me, man. Somehow the shrapnels went all the way around me, and I just took the concussion. A phenomenal physical experience to happen. Why? Who in the fuck knows? So do you think after that somebody's going to come and bullshit me? Do you literally think that after experiencing something like that in my life, that's just one thing, man? But do you think that after experiencing just that one thing, that somebody could come and lay a line of shit on me, or act tough with me, or do anything? No, man, no way in the world. I could shut them off right now. I could, once shut off, man, I just pick up a knife and just stab somebody with no thought, no feeling, nothing. Because the context leaves, right? That's what the experience of being alone is all about. And that kind of aloneness that these artists feel is what you are and what you must be. No. You got to be connected to be anything. You got to be connected. You got to be connected to friends. You got to be connected to your family. You got to be connected, man. Without that connection, you are alone. And when you're alone, you experience the same thing as a battlefield soldier experiences. That kind of horror. And the rest of that bullshit that they sell us to go out and find yourself. You're not going to find yourself other than in the relationship of other people. When you're by yourself, you are either alone or you're waiting to come back home or you're going somewhere and in a train station you found yourself alone, right? No, man, I don't buy that shit. And because I don't buy that shit, I don't buy the New Age as a whole fucking conglomerate of crap, you know? I don't buy the whole thing. And I tell you the truth, I would challenge anybody from that movement or from that thought, from anything, to bring me any authoritative aspect that the New Age is on. What New Age? When you can make heroes out of people who went for a trip to the Persian Gulf? Is that the New Age? Heroes of that period?
That's the age we're in.
Yeah, he's going to be into another age, aren't you? Aren't you, good man? Aren't you? You've got all this shit in front of you, don't you? You see, when you're looking at that, then you start thinking of your own goddamn life because you're looking at something that's just brand new, hardly with any experience to it. And then all this malarkey is going to come down on it, and you as a parent says, I don't want my kid to get through that shit. But unfortunately, that's the way it is.
Yes.
That's just the way it is. And the better we stay away from all these counselors who help us understand. Listen, man, I could have gone to 1 million psychiatrists and nobody could ever get me to understand why I did what I did. Nobody could get me ever to understand what I did. I can't never understand it. I could never do it out here. What this guy that down in Wisconsin who killed 7 or 20 people, shit. That's nothing. I mean, you know, I've seen thousands of people fucking slaughtered, man. After a while you don't think too much. I went into a village in Korea that all the women were buried up to their heads, their tongues torn out and shot in the head. The whole town square was like that. All the women and girls. The tongues were torn out of their mouth, torn out, shot in the head. Unbelievable sight.
By the North Koreans or Chinese?
By the North Koreans, yeah. Yeah, they would say it's a civil war. Civil wars are very, very ugly because they speak the same language, they have the same religion. They're very ugly affairs.
Because you really can't so much stereotype the other side because you are the other side.
Yeah, like the American Civil War.
Yeah, you can't say that monkey Japanese guy because like in World War II. You can't because you are those people.
That's right.
You are the same people.
That's right. And another kind of viciousness takes hold of you. Where to us, we saw the South and the North the same people.
They saw them more differently.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw them the same. They had such a tenacity, the North Koreans, such a vitality, such a strength, such unbelievable, man. The Southern Koreans had nowhere near it. Well, you know the Southern Korean government, Sigmund Rhee, it was a corrupt, crooked government, man.
That might be one of the only similarities to the Vietnam War is that there was a
Well, we've
civil
always
war.
backed the criminals. It's
So I'm saying that might be the
because
only
he's in
similarity
power.
to it. Because we put him there, or he's there.
He's in power, man.
We used him.
See, the Americans were there previous to the Korean War. They had a
After the Second World War.
yeah. They went there. The Russians got into the Second World War and then took part of Korea, and the Americans just moved in right away. See, the Americans thought that the Japanese had an army there in Korea, so they invited the Russians in, hoping that the Russians would take the brunt of the beating. You know?
That was like about
But they got
July.
fooled.
That was late July, right before the end of the war.
Yeah, a couple of weeks before the end of the war, and then they got fooled. See, the Russians fooled them. They might
Then
call
the
the
Russians wanted to get in on some of the spoils at the end there, claiming that they were part of that allies.
Oh, yeah,
As opposed to just if the Americans had taken the whole thing themselves, the Russians had no claim on that.
Oh yeah,
In fact, there's still an island that the Russians and Japanese are battling over.
Oh yeah, up in northern Japan.
Yeah, diplomatically battling over the same island.
Oh yeah. Well, the Russians have a big air base there.
On that island.
Yeah, they're not going to give that up. Right now, with this peace accord that they're having with the United States, they might have. They're talking about getting into a new world order. It seems like United States hasn't got any work anymore. Like it can't trade with Germany anymore, with Europe. It can't get rid of its products in Europe anymore. The Europeans are in the common market, and they don't want the United States there. And they didn't want a couple of years ago, or a year ago, they didn't want American beef. Remember? So they're putting the squeeze on the American economy. The American economy now figures that maybe it can do business with Russia and maybe Russia, United States, Japan. China's going to be doing business with all. See, none of the Asian world wants to do business with Japan because of the Second World War.
Yeah.
And they're really pissed off now because the Japanese are changing their textbooks.
And really, to rewrite some of that.
Oh, they're rewriting history totally. They're rewriting history totally.
Yeah, well, I just heard on the news yesterday there was a guy who, the mayor of Hiroshima, he was they were having the ceremonies for the bomb, which was yesterday, and
oh yeah, that's right.
it was just yesterday.
Atomic war began.
Or the day before.
The 5th of August.
2 days ago. And anyway, it was like a big shocking thing because the mayor of Japan broke with tradition and actually broke with protocol, and said that the Japanese had some responsibility, and that their actions in the Second World War weren't so noble and so right.
Oh.
And it caused a lot of shit in the Japanese press and the Japanese, because they've always said, well, especially on that day, oh, the bad Americans, they just came and dropped the bomb and started their things. But he was saying also there's a personal responsibility and an accountability that the Japanese have to do some of their actions during that war, which weren't so. We're in the same league as this atomic bomb, and as far as that issue was.
They're lucky, man, the Japanese, that the Americans put them on their feet again economically. Oh, they're very lucky. Because hadn't the Americans put them on their fucking feet economically, Japan still would have been in the fucking medieval ages. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, you were there when it was.
Yeah, man, I was there when they had fucking steam engines for cars.
Now that might be the future. We might go back to the future and that.
No shit, man. They had, in Tokyo, the biggest building in Tokyo was, I think, 5 stories, or a Daiichi building.
In the streets, they were using ox carts in Tokyo, too. Huh?
Oh, yeah, they bombed the shit out of Tokyo, man. They probably killed more people in Tokyo and the area around there, Yokohama, by incendiary bombing than they did in dropping the big bomb. Yeah. Excellent.
So you were saying you feel betrayed by the society?
Maybe that's too heavy of a poetical term, because betrayal is really, at one time, it got to be almost operatic, as a feeling of, utter. I say betrayed because I feel that. How do I say it? Let me put it like this. You've been a Boy Scout?
Yes, sir.
I haven't, but I can imagine the following: an Eagle Scout, right? He's earned his merit. Let's say, for instance, a guy took him 5, 6, 10 years to become an Eagle Scout, and some guy comes and, spends 2 or 3 months and he got his Eagle Scout badges, you know what I mean? And now he goes out with the person as an Eagle Scout. Okay, call these people were heroes. None of them fired off a round, And you say, well, what's that got to do with it? They were heroes in the fact that they had to leave their homes. They had to leave their wives. They had to leave the job. They had to go over there and endure these fucking fleas and not being able to drink beer. And living in the sand inside of a foxhole for 4 or 5 months, And shit like that. I appreciate that. That takes a lot to do that. But I don't want to mingle with him. I really don't. I don't want to drink a beer with the son of a bitch. I don't want to mingle with him. Because any man that would allow that kind of applause when he knows he's never earned it, I can't have any respect for him. You know what I'm saying?
So is this on the man who's receiving the applause as the hero, or those who are or making him the hero. You see, the man in the foxhole might not make him believe he's a hero.
I pity him. I pity
He's
him.
not the one who's making him.
The other ones disgust me. I pity
but it's
him.
the general public that is putting hero status on him.
Because we're so damn
Now
hungry.
it's how he wears
for
that
heroes.
hero status. Is that what you're talking
Go down the
about?
line. Go down the line and give the heroes, the ones who earned that rifle with a wreath around it. Give them infantrymen, a chance at that shot. The ones who've earned it. The ones who, let's say, were Eagle Scouts. It might not mean anything. I don't want people to get out there and say, you personally down there, mister, we all applaud you. No. Just applaud all of us in general. I don't want to be applauded personally. I just did what I had to do. I was getting paid, and I did what I joined the Army. I wasn't drafted in the Army. And this old sergeant that was there, he said, it's just time to work now, man. He said, we might have gone, he said, a whole lifetime. I never had to work. And now we got to work. It was our job. We did it as a job. They couldn't sell him bullshit. He knew that. He was a professional soldier, man. He had fought in the First World War.
He didn't make it through.
No. He,
Oh, he got lost in that.
yeah, Zagruski. Yeah, yeah. I came to San Francisco and found his daughter. Evie Zagruski. The guy was a professional soldier. Oh,
How
right.
old is he?
He must have been in his 50s.
He was still in the line.
Well,
I
yeah,
see.
he's
Fought the First and Second World Wars.
He fought, yeah. In them days, you bought your way into and out of a regiment.
You actually bought your way in and out?
Yeah, you went down, you knew where a regiment was at, and you wanted to get into that regiment, and you went into the regiment and you joined, right? And you wanted to get out of that regiment, and you paid $300. And you got your discharge, and then you went.
So he wasn't in the Army for all those years, or was he?
No, he'd go out and come in.
Yeah, well, First World War, then Second World War, something.
Yeah, he got out and became a cop. That whole night before the fucking fight the next day, we just talked. He did his business and showed us. He knew he had green troops, man, and that's bad. And he had that night. He had that night to get us geared up to what was going to happen. And man, that's a job and a half. Now
In one night?
Yeah, because we got on the 5th, the business began, and we were up there on the 4th. We got up there around midnight on the 4th, and 8 o'clock the next morning, the battle began.
So he had 8 hours to get me prepped.
Yeah, right, in the dark, Bullshit, calm, do this. Don't get panicky, keep it cool.
He knew what was going on.
Oh yeah, because like what I didn't personally myself. The only infantry training I had was in basic training, right? And that wasn't enough, man. We didn't know. We knew basic things only. Like I really didn't know how to secure the barrel of a machine gun or how to clear it quickly. I knew how because I did it, but I didn't know how to do it quickly as a gunner would. You know what I mean? And then like we didn't have the gloves to change the barrel, and we only had 2 barrels. The barrels burn up, and you got to be an experienced gunner to keep firing that thing and not burn its barrel up because it's air cooled, not water cooled. The 50. So like I got behind that bastard and burnt the barrel up, man. Yeah, I just opened it up full speed, and away she went. Hey, the barrel burned up. Well, I tried to change it, fucking wouldn't change. They're coming. I grab some, I shoot, I hit. That's the way it goes, you know what I mean? The rest of it is choreographed in the theaters. The rest of it's movies, man. You just huff and puff and work like hell. It's work, But you're not used to it. You go to hit somebody and you're holding back. You can't hit them, you know what I mean? There's something inside of you that says, I don't want to hurt him, I don't want to get him mad. And you sort of smile, and there's some kind of state of stupidity, You do. Some kind of bizarre, tragic smile comes across the face, like trying to smile to him that I really don't want to do this. Some stupid thing. You can't think when
So is the fear gone?
Huh?
Is fear gone?
When what?
When all this activity is happening, you're not thinking in fear.
Oh,
It's just
no.
happening.
You've never really ever cranked yourself up. I'm serious when I tell you. A runner who runs 100 yards in 9 seconds hasn't really cranked himself up. There's not a sport in the world that'll crank you up like battle hand to hand. There's no way in the world, man. you actually have to give your maximum, or something is going to fall on you. A knife is going to go through you, or a hatchet, or a barrel, a butt, a pistol, any fucking thing. You don't know what's going to get you, man, and you just keep going, and there's just a total absoluteness, something that is so totally absolute that you never experience that absoluteness again in your life, because you know if you don't give it all you got, you're dead. If you go like that, you're gone, man. So you got to be tough right to the last end, or you're gone, right? That's it. Now, I feel that this group of people, not having experienced this, how are they going to pass that information on to the next generation if they want to choose, if they want to go to war or not? See, after hearing me, you got a choice to say, I don't want to experience that shit, man. You have that choice.
Yeah, but after hearing a guy from Persian Gulf, it sounds like a cakewalk. Sounds like something I'd like to get involved in. Get over there and kick ass a little bit. And
Come home and march in the parade.
yeah, look good.
That's right. That's what I think the betrayal is. That they've, again, glorified war, you know. I mean, you could glorify it in the movies, because that smell ain't there. But if that smell was there, everybody in the theater would get up and run out. Grown veterans throwing up, man, from that shit in front of you, you know. Throwing up. Veterans.
The guy you thought was tough, and he's breaking down.
Veterans. I'm talking about veterans, Second World War veterans that were back in the Korean War. You know, they were, because the Korean War was only, what, four years after the Second World War. So, you know, a lot of guys were still in the Army.
Yeah.
I mean, Zagruski hadn't gotten out of the Army.
He hadn't gotten out yet.
No.
He got out in between the first and the second. He got out.
Yeah.
Well, I know a friend of mine's father who signed up in the second and signed up in Korea. He just signed up.
Oh, a lot of guys. They were drafting guys again.
Yeah.
They were picking up all these, because a lot of guys that went in 1941 figured they'd stay in the reserve. Nobody had ever thought there'd be another war again.
Okay, yeah.
And they stayed in the reserve because they picked up some extra change and they would get their pension. You know, after 20 years, they would get their Army pension. So they stayed in, kept their rank. Great, because you made rank quick, you know, in wartime. But then what happened is, in the Korean War, they got called up, the reserve got called up. See, what I'm talking about are the days, the first 90 days, before they could call up all these people and get them on troop ships.
But see, that's another thing about this Persian Gulf War. The Persian Gulf, I guess, the invasion from Iraq into Kuwait was on August 2nd, and we didn't start this thing until January 16th to even start the bombing. And the fighting was, I think, in late February, right?
Yeah.
The North Koreans invaded South Korea on June 27th, and 10 days later, the American troops were on the line. They had all these months to build up the 500,000 men against these people. They just threw you on there.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't wait till...
In Taejon, the guy, the boss man said, the colonel said, he says, I don't expect this to be anything, you know. He says, we just got to go up there and put some starch in them, you know, because all the way up we were seeing trains coming down this way of shattered troops, man, you know. Literally, we were going this way and they were coming that way. And flat cars just filled with wounded, you know, and we're looking, fuck, what are you talking about, man? And the word was that because the Koreans were so... You want to hear the logic? Want to hear the logic? Here, listen to the logic. What? Listen to the logic. Listen to the logic of the night. Da, 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 da. Here's the logic, man, before I forget. I don't want to forget this. Okay. The Koreans were deathly scared of the Japanese. The Japanese occupation of Korea was absolutely cruel. Absolutely cruel, man. They were very, very cruel, mean to the people, executed on the spot for little or nothing. They hated the Koreans. And the Koreans, in turn, man, started hating them, you know. So, but they were frightened of the Japanese, and the Americans haven't beaten the Japanese out of existence. The Americans felt that if they just saw an American, they would stop.
I mean, if the Koreans had just seen an American, that was
Yeah.
it.
They had that feeling in them because of that thought. That they knew that the Oriental thinks in hierarchical, whatever that means. You know, like there's an
Because
acceptance.
we were the grand victors of the Japanese. in
Yeah, we
Second
were the
World
Genghis
War.
Khans, man. You know, nobody dared raise his fucking head. So we got sent up there. What made that fucking thing comical was like, I came there with the summer clothes on. I didn't have any battle fatigues on. I had no rifle. I wasn't an infantryman. I was from ordnance. I'm here with these assholes, right? And man, I lost my shoe in the fucking the airfield outside of Busan. It was just mud, monsoon rain. Barefooted, other guys were the same fucking way. And we're going up to fight in the war. As these people were going to scare, these fucking North Koreans. In Daejeon, we got outfitted, with new things, boots that weren't broken in. Oh, man. Canteens that had never been rinsed out. Rifles that had never been cleaned out. Still with cosmoline. Oh, man. You can't believe it. You cannot believe it, man. What a fucking mess. Because they just grabbed them just one night like that. Boom. Right? Zip out and away you went. They put you down on that road. Hauled you away to an airfield about 80 or so miles away in a driving fucking rainstorm, put you on these big fucking planes and send. I didn't know where I was at. I didn't know where I was going. Nobody said anything. We just got to the other end of the fucking line, man, and somebody says, where in the fuck are we at? And somebody says, I don't know where in the fuck we're at, man. And then they got everybody together and they briefed everybody, we're here, and we're going to put starch in the pants of these bastards, that running cowards. That's the mentality, right? And now look at it with this Persian Gulf War, the mentality that's going on with this Persian Gulf War. I mean, they fought such an inept general that he actually let them build up their armies and then proceeded to allow himself to get the shit beat out of himself. You can't tell me this is for real, man. You can't tell me that's for real. He could have had them suckers every time they fucking landed a brigade. He could have wiped it out, just sent everything he had in there. What were they going to do, drop an A-bomb on him? You know what I'm saying? He lost his opportunity. He had goddamn 3 or 4 months there to knock the shit out of everybody that got there. And how come he didn't? I mean, what was the deal? How come he's still there? I mean, to me, it looks like a production that was made downtown somewhere, some damn movie outfit. The whole thing's got the smell about it. There was nobody shot up over there other than them poor bastards. And it was probably ground troops that he wanted to get rid of. Maybe he just had a desire to trim his forces a little bit. You don't know what bizarre situations take place. You know what I'm saying? But see, we got involved in Korea in the Civil War. They knew what they were talking about. We just got involved. We wanted Sigmund Rhee in there.
Oh, we were trying to shove in our own guy. And the other side didn't.
See, the North has all the electrical power in Korea. All the big rivers are up north. In the South now is all the industries in the South. And the South and the North want to get together, man. They figure it's more profitable if they do.
Well, all peoples want to get together.
See, if men are to bond themselves with each other, it's the generations that have to bond themselves with each other. Like the generations. And the only way the generations come is if the generation before them talks to them. Right? Talks to them and tells them what they've experienced, because it's within the historical lifespan of a person. That's when it's important. Because once your grandfather was gone, the story now had to be assumed. Right? But had your grandfather now had a tape recorder and sat down and told us of his experiences then, we had history that was alive.
He wrote 140
Luckily, he did. You see, luckily he did. He wrote it. Right? But how many people never did?
That's true. How many people don't use tape recorders today?
Now, how many people weren't even allowed? Like, what's happened, I think what's happened with the Vietnamese soldiers they weren't allowed. They weren't allowed to tell their story. They were only exploited about their story. And the story was told by people that had nothing to do with the war. The story was never told by the infantryman himself. It was just told about what people interviewed infantrymen and did. This is what we want to look at. These are what the wars are about. They're about lives being shattered, man. They're about they're about things that are just so fucking awful that shouldn't be gotten into by anybody. One doesn't want to go into a big peacenik kind of thing. I mean, this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about I can't kill just like it was just cattle because somebody else has put the bug in my ear. I just can't do it, man. You know, after that Korean War, I never owned a rifle. I never owned a pistol. I think the New Age movement should consist of looking back and seeing the stupidity that people had to subject themselves into for the gains of some fanatic. You know, fanaticism actually means high enthusiasm. Enthusiasm in Greek means madness, right? The kind of madness that God's had. Now, a high form of enthusiasm isn't in the Greek thought. Enthusiasm is enthusiasm, right? There is no middle, low, or high. But fanaticism is that, and it is so narrow-minded that it feels that it is correct, and it tries to put its correctness on everybody. Because fanaticism requires aggressiveness. You can't have a fanaticism without aggressiveness. So you see, on one side of aggressiveness, you have a whole psychological identifications of yourself. But then on the other side of aggressiveness, you have a whole set of symbols that have to do with the social aspect of it. It has to do with the world you live in, the ethic that you have, the way you treat each other. And here you have now aggression with such fanaticism. Because did you ever stop to think, I'm not going to say the United States, but the United States is the leader of this movement, of this personal identification with fanaticism. Like the Americans are the most fanatic people on earth, man. I've never seen fanaticism like these people have, but their fanaticism isn't for A, B, or C, it's for success. As if success was the God. It wasn't the symbol or the sign of the God like the cross is, but success was the God. And everything that it entails is holy. Everything that it entails is holy. But in order to have success, you have to have a virtue about you that is God-given. And that's why it's a virtue, because it's something that you're born with. It's what the Greeks call eugenisis, means good birth, aristocratic. You're ariston. I'd rather use the word ariston than use the Latin term virtue because it doesn't connote the same things. But ariston means of high birth, man. You can't become ariston. You got to be born ariston. So the one who's born aggressive now is born with the same kind of courage Sir Lancelot had. He is the knight. He is the one that can go down there and he's so aggressive. Like my sister liked the aggressiveness of her husband. Everybody else finds it, insulting, but she likes it, man. He's just totally aggressive. Totally, he wants something, he just comes and grabs you and come do it, You can't say no, right? You follow me? This is part of the...
He's virtuous then.
He's virtuous in a society that requires that as being ariston, right? He needs that. So you see, that which we require to be ariston is also the core and nucleus of fanaticism. Right? You can't move that fanatic wagon unless you're aggressive, man. Aggressiveness is that total belief that you're right. And that kind of belief, in fanaticism, your movements are the same as the movements of the aggressive person. I won't take no for an answer. But wonder if I don't want to. See, that's the problem that happens. The aggressive person says, I won't take no for an answer. That's an important division, between people. I won't take no for an answer, and the other one says, but wonder if I don't want to. Because one deals with himself on wants and needs, just on wants and needs. Now he can luxuriate in passive activity like thinking, or he can do whatever he chooses to do with it. Now only a few times in history was this possible. There was a short period in Roman history that this was possible. There was a short period in Athenian history that this was possible. And there's a short period in this history that this is possible. So don't take these blessings as ever giving, They're here just for a moment. It's almost gone. Within the next century, everybody will have to be accounted for. Everybody. Everybody will be shooting at each other. And they want to know where everybody's at. And why have a computer that can do 1 billion functions a second or what have you and not know where everybody is at? I should be able to punch it in and it says, because of the bracelet on your hand, where you're at. I see nothing wrong with that, As the ability to account becomes more sharp, accountability is the next move, right? I mean, what's the use of having a computer if I'm not going to keep accounts? I mean, you can see that modern virtues are just more than modern virtues. You can see that they're necessities that have become so essential to the existence of modern times. Because without these people, how's modern times going to exist? Without the executive, corporate director, chief executive officer, without him being without him being aggressive to the nth degree, can you imagine how long that corporation will exist? Not only must he be more aggressive than everybody in that company, but for him to exist, he has to be more aggressive than that person in that other company.
But he was aggressive in the fact that he got to where he's got. That's part of the nature of that.
And exactly.
If you got to that point, you were aggressive. Otherwise, you're in the
wouldn't have
mailroom
got there.
still.
Yeah, it's a self-selecting process.
Yes, it is.
The pure nature that he's there means he's aggressive. And so if there wasn't aggressive people...
But see, he's working in a system. He's working inside a system that allows for that to be rewarded. Aggression is rewarded today. Controlled, directed, designed aggression. That's exactly what that war was about. Huh?
Totally measured insertions, smart bombing, surgical bombing.
All drawn out, done to a T. How much Hussein got for this, who knows? Was he paid off, or was a man can't be that stupid?
He's still there. He's not that stupid.
No, he can't be that stupid to take that kind of fucking beating and not, just walk into the ring with Muhammad Ali without having done some preparation. If they didn't outwit him or they busted his communication center or shit. He had the best opportunity. Why would he want to wait until they set up? He knew that he could be sold out. He knew goddamn. If I was one of their generals, this is the first. Can I digress?
Please.
If I was one of their generals, the first thought that would have come into my mind would be the following. Most of the equipment that we have here is Russian and U.S. The one that's U.S., the Americans know how it works. They know what spare parts we got and what we don't have. The ones with the Russians, it's conceivable that the Russians would give them that information. Very conceivable for a deal that the United States could make with Russia, like wheat, for instance, So, I mean, if I was one of their generals, I'd say, hey, man, these fuckers know what our systems are about totally. They know what range to come in. They know how the radar works. They know how to jam it. They know how to fuck our whole communication system. Somebody must have said that. Yeah, you don't have to be that smart to say that much. But then they allowed it to happen. Why? I mean, the question, why would why would a general do that? When the most vulnerable point to any battle is the exposition of the troops being exposed in their landings and taking positions. Do you know the Battle of Gallipoli?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a disaster. Over 100,000 guys were killed in a couple of weeks.
Jesus, I'm not familiar with it.
And that's what they did. They tried to land, and the fortifications were the Turks and the Germans had fortified. It's the Dardanelles, right? They're trying to get through the Dardanelles. And they launched this huge invasion of mostly Australians. And they got wiped out totally to the man. And they withdrew. They couldn't take it. That's siege warfare. And the guy who owns the land is in control of the siege warfare. The other guy has to bring his material there.
Right.
So how was the United States going to bring material there? How was it going to land troops? You know, they would have had to keep an aerial war going on forever. They had, you know, something's wrong with that thing, man.
And the guy's still there.
The guy's still there. And now they're talking about they can't find what his, where they knew every fucking thing he had. How did they know that that fucking 5 foot under the ground bunker was the bunker that he went to, but it was really filled with children and women? How did they know that information? You can't tell me they didn't know where they were making the H-bomb at? How you fucking tell me that they fucking knew everything except where they were making the H-bomb at and the bacteriological warfare bombs? And you mean you didn't know that? You knew everything else but that? You would think that that would be your most fucking primary concern, you know? Maybe there's other things that you forgot. And you want to give us a list of what it is, and after that you can't have any more? You know, like a fucking bitch list, you know, on a job. You tell them, you know, put whatever it is down there. Don't come back tomorrow with anything more, you know? Right? Fucking assholes. And the fucking country bought it, man. The country bought that crap. And you tell me why it bought it? Because it was entertainment. That's why they bought it. They didn't buy it for its truth or its falsitude or anything. It was just entertainment. Good entertainment.
It was good entertainment.
It still blows my mind, though, why the hell he would let his own country get stomped to shit, though. His own capital city, man. Flattened.
It's unbelievable. It's unfucking believable.
It's staggering, man.
Yeah. I don't think there's ever been in the annals of fucking warfare, there's ever been anything move so stupid. So blatantly stupid. I mean, they got...
What could possibly be the payoff?
These guys tested out their arms, man, against Russian arms. The arms dealers of the world. That was a show for the arms dealers of the world. One of its benefits. See, arm dealing in the world, man, is in the trillions. That's the biggest business in the world. And everybody wants to know what's best, the French, the English, the American, the what have you not. And you say it's coincidental, fine. It's coincidental then. But the countries that were in there were the countries that manufacture arms. I mean, all of them that manufacture arms were represented. The Scud is a fucking Chinese missile. They were going to bring in the silkworm missile, the dreaded silkworm missile, you know. And then other Russian tanks being used in the desert. Bradley tanks being used in the desert. Everything had to be checked and tested. So the world sat back, all the arms dealers sat back and noticed what thing worked the best. And man, right after that, the orders for American fighter planes are just fucking quadrupled.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they took all the performance tests of them. They performed them, tested them in battle, man. You know, high diving and a lot of stressful maneuvering. So I mean, you know, it served its purpose as that.
And a lot of money was made.
Oh. When you stop to think of the S&L scandal, that war didn't cost much. It generated far more money than it cost. It generated a lot of money. The arms sales alone, the United States will make that up. The export taxes on arms sales will make up for that little war they put on over there. So window dressing for arms sales and
plus to ourselves too, because there's the limits of how many arms we can have. Now our supply is real low, so we have to stock up to get to the level. You know, they had to unload a lot of their baskets so they could restock them.
with new stuff.
If you don't have a war, there's no need to build more bombs when you got a bunch here.
Oh, yeah.
Close the factory, so we got to get rid of the inventory.
Oh yeah.
So we can get some more inventory going.
Yeah, but wasn't there the single largest amount of bombs placed in any one area ever?
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
More than
Yeah.
that war than in Vietnam.
More than the Second World War, man. They
Oh, yeah,
dumped
yeah.
more in that many days, 40 days, 42 days.
More than Vietnam in 11 years. And Vietnam
yeah.
was more than Second World War.
Man, they poured a lot of ammunition there. But it wasn't so many the amount of bombs, it was the intensity of them.
Intensity of the bombs, yeah.
Like at one time you had to drop 10 bombs to equal one of these fucking things.
Yeah.
And explosive power. They measure explosive power. How many bombs they drop by the amount of explosive power them bombs have. And then they set their statistics. And then the next time they want bombs made, they want it to better that. And this shit will go on because there's money involved.
Yeah.
Well, who do they get? You know, they get a bunch of third world people. You know, Iraq's really a third world nation. And they get third world countries and they just blow them off the face of the earth. Because nobody's going to complain about them. It's just like some guy goes down there and beats the shit out of a fucking homeless man. Who cares? Nobody cares. The only guy that cares is the guy that got beat up. He's got nobody to stand in his back and on his side and say, hey, wait a minute, you know. Nobody cares. So nobody really cares if Iraq got it. Syria's happy. The Jews are happy over it. Iran's glowing over it. So the best you can get is people were happy about it. So why not do it? If nobody's going to complain, why not do it? You say, but it's human lives. Well, nobody gives a shit about that.
Even the guy that runs the ship over there, he obviously didn't give a shit. He let him walk right in and level the place.
Yeah, nobody cares. The audience over here is just looking for something on TV. And once they get that, I don't think it bothers them anymore.
Yeah, it was entertainment.
I'm glad I'm not in the middle of all those children and women dying and trying to nurse them.
We don't hear it.
We never heard that. We just saw the high fives from the pilots.
That's what's happening right now. The children are all dying of starvation.
There
Think
can't
of
be
it.
any water
Hundreds
or
of,
food there.
yeah, hundreds of thousands of children just dying of starvation. Ugh.
Yeah, people are dying, man.
We had a parade.
Heroes.
What they say, the biggest parade in New York. The most they measure the tonnage too, just like the ticker tape, just like the bombs. This ticker tape parade preceded the last ticker tape parade, which used to be the biggest, which
By
was
the-
a
by the
baseball
garbage.
hero. And that ticker tape was before MacArthur. It was the second biggest.
By the amount of
tonnage.
garbage they had.
Yeah, and Schwarzkopf had the biggest tonnage of shit dumped on his ass as he walked down.
Oh,
Park Avenue.
yeah. Oh, sure. It was a fucking second-rate opera. Why
Yeah,
shouldn't it?
because they make it. They had to make the
It was an opera in the Golden
parade
Gate Park.
as the biggest. The parade big. It couldn't be a 2-bit parade for a great victory. It had to be the parade had to be bigger than all the other parades
Oh,
to
yeah.
elevate the victory.
They're going to build a big monument to this, man.
Something about
Really?
America and bigness, you know, we're really mind fucked about that. The bigger, onward.